So welcome to Essential Oils for Less Stress. And I'm really excited for this content. I'm actually super excited to be able to present this with Shuli because I just absolutely love, yay! I just absolutely love this content. I love essential oils. I love teaching with Shuli. And it's just like, I'm so happy that we all come together from all parts of the world, really, or all over Canada right now, I think is where we are. And still be in one place at the same time. So I love online classes and online learning for this exact reason. But I want to start by introducing, for those of you that don't know, Shuli, do you want to give a little bio of yourself?
Sure.
Tell me who you are and what you do.
Yes, I'm a registered social worker. I have a master's degree in counseling and spirituality, and I'm a yoga teacher. Can you believe it's been 16 years I've been teaching yoga? Wow. Off the hook. And I work mainly with busy women and business women who want to transform the effects of stress and trauma so that they can feel good and cope effectively when the crap hits the fan. Because you know it always does.
It's so true.
It is so true. And for me, essential oils were the missing piece in the work that I do, because as you'll learn, as you probably know from experience, but you'll learn why words don't work when you're stressed out. Try talking yourself off the ceiling when you're stressed out. Doesn't happen, right? And I remember when I saw you post on Instagram about past tense, the past tense roll-on. There it is. And I was like, past tense. Trauma, put it in the past. Stress, get the tension out. I was like, ding! And I was off.
I love it.
And I'm so excited to be teaching this with you. Thank you so much for asking me.
You're welcome. So for those of you that don't know, thank you. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ellie, and I am also a yoga teacher, and I've been working a lot more recently with individuals in terms of leadership. And so how do we step into the role of becoming a leader, and what does a leader really mean? And what does it mean for us individually? And then aside from that, I teach a couple of yoga classes, public yoga classes with essential oils, restorative, because we need this, and some hatha-based alignment to get ourselves back to that place of center, and retreats, and actually some retreats with some of the gals here on the call tonight, which is amazing. And I started using essential oils, I started using essential oils when I was about 12 years old, and my parents, she's heard this over and over, that especially this week we've taught a couple of classes, and my parents got me this kit that had a book with how to make hand soap and hand cream and your own shampoo and so many great things. And it had two oils in it. It had a peppermint and a lavender. And I remember being fascinated with reading about the different essential oils and what the qualities they had, the plant medicine qualities that they had, and making my parents the most god-awful concoctions. And one of them that I remember very vividly is this hand soap, this liquid hand soap that was really, I keep describing it as the consistency of sticky snot. It was the worst. And my parents were like, this is amazing, honey. I'm like, you guys are so, thank you for being so supportive. And then a couple of years ago, so I had used them on and off in my cleaning, to manage sleep, for, eucalyptus for opening up the airways. And then a couple of years ago, I was getting really sick in a teacher training that I was teaching, and it was hour one, and I started just going downhill fast. And somebody offered me two of the oils that we're going to talk about tonight. And I thought to myself, first of all, one, it's not going to work. They're just things that smell nice. And two, I'm going to take them anyway because I like things that smell nice. And one of the ones that they gave me is the Protective Blend On Guard, and I took it in these little capsules, and they come in these beadlets. And I woke up the next morning and feeling fresh as a daisy. And I came back to our teacher training and I was like, what is in this? Because essential oils have never worked like this for me before. And it started my deep dive to specifically doTERRA essential oils and how they work and on a physical level and how they work on an emotional level. So I have been mega stressed. And even in the last year, I have been mega stressed with some pretty big transitions of like moving to a new city, buying a house, you know, having one vehicle break down, having to buy a new vehicle, which I didn't think would be stressful. That'd be this like term of, you know, celebration, new car. But man, it's hard to buy a car. And all of these different things that have kind of come at me. And I realized how important it is to have a couple of tools. And for me, essential oils is definitely one of those. And so I'm really excited to teach you particularly about this tonight. So I want to talk about, I think we'll start actually with what essential oils are, how to use them. And then we're going to go into our stress, what a stress is, or what stress is, what to do when shit hits the fan. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about specific essential oils, their qualities, and how we can use them for stress. So if you've never used essential oils before, they are plants' medicine, their defense mechanism. And what a plant does, all of our plant life has an essential oil or has essential oils. And whenever the plant is under threat or stress, it releases that essential oil to bring it back to that homeostasis, so bring it back to that even keel. And different plants have different qualities. We all have heard of like lavender oil is really good for calming or for anxiety or for sleep. And, you know, lots of times we hear of peppermint being really good for digestion or headaches or pain. And even beyond that, we have so many different essential oils and blends of essential oils that we can put together to start to layer and to bring our body back into homeostasis. So we can use them from anything to supporting our immune system, to sleeping well at night, to aiding in digestion, and to really, and I find very effectively for stressing less. And then we have three main ways that we can use essential oils. The oil itself, actually I want to talk a little bit about this. How the oil is distilled down is, the plant matter is, I keep calling this a big tea, but it's not like steeped in water. There's steam that's been pushed through the plant matter and then cooled, and there's two things that are the byproduct of this process, and one is the essential oil, and one is something called a hydrosol, which we often see in our toners or our creams. It's a highly scented sort of like, actually it's kind of like a highly scented tea in layman's terms for what it is. And so this essential oil is 50 to 70% more potent than the raw material. So often we give the kind of, let's say, example of 1 drop of peppermint essential oil is equal to, 1 drop to 28 cups of peppermint tea. So 1 drop is so powerful and so potent. And can really be very effective for the whole body within 20 minutes, which is kind of cool on a cellular level. Anyways, we'll talk more about that. Mind blowing. So how we use the 3 different ways that we can use essential oils are aromatically. So something like right now I have a diffuser on, and it's diffusing balance oil as we begin our class here tonight. So in a diffuser, some people have a little thing in their humidifier that they can add a couple of drops of essential oil, and even just like right out of the bottle. So opening up the bottle and having that scent under your nose and being able to take that in are the main ways for aromatic usage. I've heard of other people using them not having a diffuser or needing a humidifier and using them on pieces of thin cloth and using them either in the window or over their register, things like that. Like there's lots of ways that we can diffuse that into the air. Even, you know, a cup of water with some oil on top, you get that aromatic quality and that aromatic scent to the air. Mm. So that's a main way that we think about using essential oils, and especially different kinds of essential oils as we think about how to use them, or we think about that aromatic quality. Shuli, what kitten is that today?
That's the evil princess.
Of course it is.
The big troublemaker.
We're in for it tonight. And then the second way to use essential oils is topically. So anything that we put on our skin can be in our bloodstream in about 2 to 30 seconds. So very quickly, very effectively, we can use things like essential oils to manage things like symptoms of a headache, or to bring our system back down and online with things like citrus or lavender, and it's so fast, and using it topically can be just a drop in your hands. It can be through a roller bottle, which is a really nice and convenient way that you can use your oil. Just roll it on yourself or roll it on your chest or the back of your neck. And then placement for topical usage is really hands is a really good place for it. Just being mindful that you're not touching your eyes afterwards. The bottoms of your feet, and those two places are effective because the ends of our nerves end at the ends of the bottoms of the feet and the hands, and that brings that into the system, the central nervous system, very quickly. The back of the neck, again, that central nervous system. And then the affected area. So if you're using something for a headache, like the crown of the head, just being careful not to get too close to the eyes. The back of the head again. Something for your chest or for colds and flus, let's say. The chest is a really great place to put them. So topical usage. Shuli, stop me. Am I covering all of that? Do you have anything you want to add to those two things?
So also the belly, right? Like if you have digestive, right? And so recently I've had, all my life I've had to manage gut issues, and of course it's going much better now. But recently I found myself without any of the stuff that I usually have, and I'm used to carrying like a whole, pharmacopoeia stuff. That's right. All I had was the Zengest. And so even though I'm like 100% sold on the oils that I use and their effectiveness, I had never really used Zengest for myself, but I'm like really afraid. I'm at work and I'm afraid like I'm going to have to go home because it's starting to, so I put the Zengest on my belly, and like maybe 5 minutes later, I'm sorry if this is TMI, but I start having des rapports, like some gas comes up, which relieved whatever was going on, and the pain diminished, and I went right on going. But what I liked about it, that was obviously effective, but the combination of, instead of being mad at my belly for giving me trouble and gritting my teeth and saying, I was nice, I was kind to myself. I put the stuff on my belly and I rubbed it, it was nice. It felt nice to do that for myself instead of taking a pill and gritting my teeth and being mad. So it felt good. It decreased the suffering because when you're nice to yourself, you make it easier on yourself, and then it was effective. So like, triple win.
Isn't that phenomenal too, that like at your fingertips, I think this is such a great example of this, like at your fingertips is a solution that you immediately can have relief from something like that. Like oftentimes if we're taking those pharmaceuticals, we have to wait for them to
20 minutes to get through your digestive system. Yeah.
Exactly. And very similar, digestin is such a powerful oil, especially for gut issues. I am always blown away with how fast it is, especially things like heartburn.
It's in Canada called Zengest.
And in the U.S., we have it as, like I'm in the U.S., I'm in Canada, but I have a U.S. bottle called Digest Zen. Yeah. So it comes in these two formats as well. So yeah, I love that. And I was thinking about aromatic as well, and like what time, this is something that people ask often, like when do you use your diffuser? And I had somebody, I taught a class this weekend, I had somebody ask the question in my class, and the host of the class said, when don't I use it? And I was like, it's true, when I wake up in the morning, I have certain oils that I like to put on. Before this call, I called Shuli and I was like, I am on my way home, but I am not there yet, and I will get there. And so as soon as I came home, I was like, okay, the office needs a little balance. It needs a little restoration. So a 2-minute legs up the wall and some balance oil in the diffuser, and we're good to go. And so really using your aromatic component when you need it, like, and tuning into when it is that you do need it is so, I keep coming back to this, but like, it's so empowering. It's so amazing to have those things at your fingertips. So third way to use your essential oils, and I want to premise this with, if you have other essential oils at home that you're using and that you really love, and it says do not ingest on the side of that bottle, do not ingest. It says that for a reason. doTERRA's essential oils, if they are, I keep coming back to the word, if they're ingestible, if they're edible, I don't know, if they're ingestible, they will have something on the side of the bottle that is your supplemental facts. So these are your supplemental facts. It'll also say on the bottle, like, do not, like, safe for ingestion or not. Do not ingest, use aromatically and topically. But the general rule for your ingestion is if you would normally eat it, then it's probably safe for ingestion. But like, I keep coming back to, like, you wouldn't eat a spruce tree, and Balance has spruce in it. And so therefore, Balance is not an oil that you would ingest. And if you're unsure, you can always go online and just check it out. Like, if you're using the doTERRA oils, Google doTERRA essential oil and check to make sure. And the product guide has an amazing resource in it that we can share with you later. But again, general rule, it will say on the bottle, safe for ingestion or not safe for ingestion.
So something to know about the oils in Canada is that they've gone through Health Canada's process as natural health products. So it's not just us saying they're safe for ingestion. The natural health products, as regulated by Health Canada, have, the doTERRA ones have on them, for Canadian products, it's okay to ingest them. So it's not just the companies saying it, it's also Health Canada that's saying it's okay.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty
the products that are on the list from Health Canada.
And doTERRA is one of the only companies that have been able to passed through Health Canada, which is such a nice quality to have in your oils, that you have that transparency for what the oils are and how to use them is going to be there as another resource. Health Canada will have right on their site, when you go in there and Google search for doTERRA, it will have information about the oils there as well. So, excuse me, ingesting oils. Shirley asked me what I had in my water. I have some wild orange in here, which I love. In a water bottle like this, usually I would put 1 to 2 drops in, and if I fill this up 2 or 3 times during the day, I'm still going to get that aromatic and taste component to it. Shirley, how many do you have in yours?
Well, I find the peppermint very strong, so I dilute it in coconut oil, in the fractionated coconut oil, and then usually put a drop or 2 of the oil in the diluted version. But it lasts me a couple of days, really, because the peppermint is very strong. Important point, though, if you're using citrus oils in your water, don't use a plastic container, because citrus oils are cleaning agents. They break down plastic. And so it doesn't matter what kind of plastic you're using, it will leach the chemicals into your water, so don't. Also, parenthetically, don't use your citrus oils for cleaning your yoga mat, because if you don't know what it's made of, they will break down your mat. But certainly don't put it in your plastic bottle. Only always, oops, it doesn't ring. Ding, ding.
So yeah, glass or metal only. And I think that's really key. If you're even using your oils to clean your house or anything like that, then you're going to use glass or metal bottles only to use to clean your house with. So that's one way, is adding them to your water for internal. The second way is actually putting it in a drop in your hand, sticking your thumb in it and putting it on the roof of your mouth. I was at the doTERRA conference last year, and one thing that was really phenomenal is that we now have a physician's panel. It was like a doctor's a physician's panel, and they dropped to demonstrate the safety of essential oils internally and directly on the mouth. They dropped in a drop of essential oil right on their tongue, and I thought that was really awesome. I've seen a couple of people do that before. So if you're using it, like your peppermint is going to be very strong, a full drop in your mouth, but things like spearmint or your orange or even frankincense, which we'll talk about for mood later, is a fantastic oil to use internally like that. And then the third alternative for internal usage will be to put in a capsule, so a veggie cap or a gel cap that you can get. doTERRA has veggie caps, and lots of the health food stores will have empty gel caps, and you can put a couple of drops in there and then take that, and that will go directly into the digestive system.
I know a fourth method.
Oh, please tell me. Oh.
Chocolate.
So good. I actually hooked on...
Yes,
oh, wow.
That's some of the chocolate I made.
I'm surprised you still have that, because that would be gone. That would be an empty container.
Yeah.
So yeah, adding it to your food is amazing, and especially things like, Shuli, I want you to speak later a little bit to the idea of like finding a ritual for treats and having that little tiny bit of chocolate that has the wild orange in it, or your peppermint, or even lavender. We have another friend who uses rosemary in her oil or in her chocolate.
Yeah.
So good.
I'm going to try that next.
Yeah.
Maitri has to pass that around. No fair.
Yeah. It's true. So yeah, using them in your cooking is an amazing way, and being able to replace, like speaking of rosemary, like our rosemary always goes off before we actually are able to use it all, and so it's a great way to use your oil as an alternative. Just a little asterisk note that because the oil is so potent, that if you are using some of the oils like cilantro, I know definitely.
Oh my God, cinnamon. The first time I'm like, I'll just put a 1 drop of cinnamon in my cup of coffee in the morning. Oh my God, like don't even. I had to dilute it really a lot because it's very strong.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just very.
Some of your oils, you would just use a toothpick around the top of the oil and kind of dip that into whatever it is that you're using. Yeah. We had a white bean dip. I keep talking about this dip. I loved it. It had 2 drops of rosemary in it. And my lovely wife was like, all I can smell is rosemary for like days afterwards because of that rosemary dip. So 1 drop, 2 drops, or a toothpick, depending on how much. And you'll know, like a little toothpick, not quite enough. Maybe a second dip, that sort of thing. It's very experimental in that way for cooking, for how much that you want. Very similar to like adding more garlic to less garlic. When a recipe calls for like 2 garlic cloves, I was like, you mean bulbs?
Right.
Not cloves? Okay, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So those are the main ways for usage for essential oils. I want to talk briefly about dilution, and we talked about safety for what to put them in. But dilution, if you're using them for kids 2 and under, you're going to use 1 drop of essential oil in a 10 milliliter roller bottle, or this is basically a tablespoon of oil, so carrier oil. And carrier oil is anything. My favorite, Shuli, is your favorite coconut as well? Fractionated coconut?
It just goes right in. You don't get greasy at all.
I love it. This is something that now you can get at Costco, like MCT liquid coconut oil. You can get it in the cooking section of your grocery store. doTERRA has it. Some beauty supplies have it. It's amazing. And it's definitely my top carrier oil as well. You can use sweet almond oil. You can use rosehip oil. Some people have used olive oil. I always tell the story of getting oregano, which is a hot oil, on my hand and not having any carrier oil and having to use butter, which also worked. But is not ideal. But something that has that oil that can spread the essential oil, that potency, around a little bit. So for kids, again, 2 and under, one drop of oil in 1 tablespoon. Kids 2 to 6, you can do 2 drops in 1 tablespoon. And from there, you just start to increase. I don't recommend internal use for kids under 12. I would even go to ages 14 or more, depending on. And so that for internal usage, I usually just stay away from with children, but with adults, of course, discretion obviously advised. So that's dilution. Let's talk a little bit about hot oils. Shuli, do you know what those? You want to tell everybody what those are?
Well, the spice oils, so clove, cinnamon, but also surprisingly, marjoram is considered a hot oil. You said oregano, right?
Yeah, oregano and thyme. And
thyme, yes.
So, and hot oils means literally hot to the skin. So when I had the oregano oil on my hand, and there are a few like caveat uses for straight up oregano oil that have nothing to do with stress, but have everything to do with like warts. And this is a very tiny amount of oil. You wouldn't use a whole drop, but hot oils means literally they're hot to the skin. They're burny to the skin. And so that you would use your carrier oil, and what that does is it spreads the oil out, so it dilutes it, so that you don't have that central one drop in that one place, and that starts to cool the oil down. So it's still ones that you can use depending on what you're using them for, like cinnamon and cassia, or cinnamon and clove, are in the On Guard, which is the protective blend, which is an amazing oil. I use this one topically, and I use it diluted because it has those in it. And then on the topic of the On Guard oil, photosensitive oils are any of your citrus oils. Excuse me. So your citrus are things like lemon, lime, grapefruit, bergamot. Am I missing anything?
Those are the ones that come to my mind.
And I just read something the other day, I think maybe it was even Shuli that had shared this, that bergamot is one of the ones that is extremely photosensitive. And what that means is that if you have it straight up or not diluted on your skin, and even diluted sometimes on your skin, and you go out into the sunshine, it can create a very similar effect to a burn. And so if you're using those oils in the sun and going out and tanning or sitting in the sun or just sitting on your back deck, that you would use them in two ways. One, on the bottoms of your feet, where that potentially will not be exposed to the sun, if they're not going to be exposed to the sun, or in a covered place that won't be exposed to the sun, or just avoiding them altogether. And bergamot, the super safe rule would even be 72 hours. So just knowing that citrus oils are photosensitive. So, anything else you want to add about safety? Okay. So let's talk about stress.
Let's talk about stress, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
Oh, I'm gonna have that stuck in my head now.
I like how you brought up the subject of homeostasis right at the beginning. Homeostasis is the current, homeo means same, stasis static, right? So in the current state, that's considered your baseline. It's homeostasis. It's the rest and digest phase. When a demand comes on the system, then you have to respond to it, which means you're out of homeostasis and into the mode of responding. Your organism, even though it's not you, it might not technically be a threat. You don't feel threatened by it, but a demand is read by the body as a threat to homeostasis. And that's not a bad thing. It just means that homeostasis is disrupted and they need to return. Your organism needs to return. So stress is any demand on the system. That's physiological stress. And then you have emotional stress, which occurs when the demand exceeds the capacity of the individual or the individual's environment to mobilize resources to respond. So for example, let's say somebody in your family dies, God forbid, and you're isolated, you're far from your family, you're in a new place, you don't know anybody yet, so you're socially isolated. If you were at home with your peeps and your family and your friends, you have a system that can support you. But when you're alone and isolated, the fact that your system, you can't mobilize resources there to support you, means that you might experience the stress of this death as much more significant and beyond your capacity to mobilize resources than if you were at home in the environment that supports you. So it's not only stress is not, especially emotional stress, is not only an individual issue, it's a systemic issue, because you can have the personal resources, but in a certain situation, you need more than a person needs more than personal resources. You need the whole. So if the demand exceeds the capacity of you and your whole to respond, then you find yourself emotionally stressed. You're overwhelmed, right? You can't deal, like literally. So let's talk a little bit about the brain and stress. So I'm going to invite you to consider using your hand as a model for the brain. So this is the spinal column. This is the back of your brain. So the what we could call in quotation marks the primitive brain. Then we have the midbrain here, especially the thumb, the intermediate brain. And then we have what we might call the rational part of the brain, or the cortex. So the limbic system, all the data comes in through the body, not only through your sensory perception, but also through the whole of your body. It's like a big microphone in a way for data. And all the data feeds in up the spinal cord, and all the messages go up and down. So this part of the brain regulates, it's the autonomic nervous system. It regulates the automatic functions of the body, like digestion, breathing, heartbeat, all those things that just kind of run in the background, right? Then we have in the intermediate brain, this is where the stress and threat response is mobilized. In particular, we have the amygdala and the hippocampus. The amygdala is the emotion center. The hippocampus is the center of memory and learning. We have our fight, flight, freeze, and fawn response that is mobilized here. And then we have this part of the brain, which we could call our higher corpus. It's where our best qualities as human beings are. It's our rational problem solving, our moral reasoning, everything we've learned, all our knowledge. Our experience is here, but our knowledge is here. So what happens is, when data comes in that's registered as a threat at any level, and we have an emotional response to it, then the amygdala and the hippocampus get hot, and we flip our lid. So I'm sure you've had an experience before of flipping your lid, where you just lose your shite, right? Like, you've heard of the expression seeing red. I don't know if you've ever seen red, been so angry that you've seen red, or you might have had the experience of, like, you're sort of up there watching yourself down here do stuff that you're like, up here's going, why are you even doing, but down here's like going crazy one way or another, right? That's the experience of flipping your lid. When we flip our lid, we lose all our problem solving, everything we ever knew, all the right answers, right? All that stuff, gone-o. And what you're left with that inform your responses are your emotions, and especially bad memories. So that's how, for example, when in the moment something small happens and your reaction is overblown, it's because you're reacting on the basis of the memories of things that are similar. And so the memory kind of potentiates the reaction in this moment. So we're left with, for coping skills, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, memories, and emotions. There's nothing the matter with any of these things, but alone, they're not great helpers. Am I right? Yeah. So the way the brain evolved, according to this way of telling the story, is from the bottom up. So communication is most effective from the bottom up, which by the corollary of that is communication, even in the best of times, is not fabulous from the front back. Especially not fabulous at all when the front is offline. This is called cortical inhibition. So this is when you can't talk yourself out of stuff, right? You can't talk yourself off the ceiling. You can't talk yourself into sleep. You can't talk yourself out of being mad, because language is all up here, does not compute. So what do you do? Did you want to say anything about this part before I go to what do you do?
No, go ahead.
All right. So if words don't work, and data, as I've explained, is all coming up from here, then what do? We work from here up. We work with the whole organism. We work somatically. We work experientially. So instead of telling ourselves it's okay, we show ourselves it's okay. So essential oils are a very powerful way to communicate with your whole organism in a way that it can understand. First of all, because they involve your senses, which bring you out of your fog and right here. When you're breathing in the orange, you're breathing in the orange. There's, there we go. So my picture's intermittent, I'm just gonna let it go. You can still hear me, yes?
Yeah, we can.
So when you're breathing in the orange, that's what's happening. It's right now, here and now, what's happening. You're breathing it right here and now. The breath is occurring right here and now. Instead of being lost in the emotion and lost in some other time and space, you come right here, right now. You begin to breathe, because when we do the personal diffusion, so we drop a drop in the palm of the hands and rub them together gently and bring them toward the face and inhale. Like quite naturally, when you're smelling something, you just, and if it's a smell you enjoy, it's like, you know, you inhale quite naturally, quite deeply. And this can then instigate the body's relaxation response. So the deep breathing, the present moment experience, and the effect of scent. So of all the sensory data that comes in through the body, the one sense that goes directly to the limbic system and bypasses all the rest of the brain, and this right here is the limbic system, the only sensory data that goes directly here and does not pass go, does not collect $200, is scent. But here's the thing, you know, you might have all kinds of strategies, but if your lid is flipped, you've forgotten. But if your little bottle is sitting right there on your desk and you're looking around for what am I going to do, and there's your bottle, there's your tool. It's very concrete. It's something you can actually touch. And that involves also the whole experience, right? It's not like I have to retrieve some information in my brain. No, I just pick up the bottle, take the top off, put a drop in my hand, rub my palms together. I've got the touch involved. I breathe it in. I have the scent. It affects my emotions. It helps me calm. My cortex comes back online. And then my coping skills come back to me. And I'm like, oh, I know what I can do to handle this. I'm going to go for a walk or whatever.
I love that as well, Julie, because I think about, you know, all of these coping mechanisms for stress, like take a hot bath, or, you know, lie down for 20 minutes, or put your feet up the wall, or go to a yoga class, or go out for a walk, or go out for a run, or like have a nice conversation with somebody you love. But in those moments, like, F the bath, that's going to take way too long. Going for a walk, it's terrible out tonight, I don't want to go out there. You know, we have all of these other things that kind of stand in the way of us being able to help ourselves, for us to be able to assist ourselves in these exact moments. Mm-hmm. That what I love best about essential oils is that it's so very simple. It's literally, like, it really made sense for me as soon as you said, like, literally you put a drop in your hands and you smell it, and it is phenomenal. I love that.
I could not believe it. I could not believe it. I did a little accidental experiment for myself. So I'm a solopreneur, like a lot of people, you know, in this community. And Wednesday is my administration day. And it's the only day I have to do stuff, right? You can see, like, I'm like, it's the only day. There's too much stuff, not enough hours. I'm like tense, I'm freaking out. And it's been like this for a while, even with all, you know, I breathe, I do my practice, but halfway through the day, I'm like really wound up, and I get frustrated with myself. And so of course I have my diffuser, and so I've started diffusing balance in the morning. I do a practice in the morning and I inhale balance through personal diffusion, but then I was like, well, why don't I just put it in the diffuser? And I noticed by the end of the day, I was like, I'm pretty chill, you know? And then the next week I forgot it. I was a wreck. And then the next week I was like, I wonder. And I put it back in the diffuser. Cool cucumber. I'm like, is it the oils or is it the oils?
And I also love that brings it back to, like, it brings us back online where we go, okay, now we can, like, okay, our to-do list that looked 8 miles long is now like one thing at a time. That's all we can do. One thing at a time, one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant. I also wanted to share a story with a private client of mine who has been in a couple of accidents and has a traumatic brain injury. And one of the things that we work with right now is scent or aroma. And he has a very limited amount that he can smell. And it's very interesting to see that physiological response to a scent. So what calms us and what doesn't calm us, let's say, for example. And one of the first ones that I gave him was the wild orange scent, or the wild orange oil, excuse me. And he said, I can't use essential oils or something along those lines. They're not going to do much for me anyway. I can't really smell them. Like, I can barely smell things. And I gave him that, and I gave it straight out of the bottle. I was like, okay, smell this. What do you think? And he smelled this for so long. I wish that we could like share scent through the camera. And he said to me, I didn't tell him what kind of oil it was. I just said, listen, just take this and smell it and tell me what you think. And he smelled it for the longest time. And he said, I don't really know what the smell is, but it really smells like a warm summer day to me. And I was like, amazing. Like, it's so incredible it's so incredible. And to see that change. And I said afterwards, I said, it's interesting because I describe wild orange oil as an oil that is like the scent is, if I was I've never been to Italy, but I think that if I was in Italy and I was in an orange field, that smell of like the warmth of the sun and the peel of the orange and like a hot day is exactly what it does for me. And so it's definitely one of my go-to oils for stress. You want to jump into like what oils to use for stress? Who knows?
Just one sec. I want to say something about I have a coaching client who cannot smell, right? But she applies them topically and inhales them all the same, and reports that she experiences benefit.
It's amazing.
And she's like, I don't smell anything, but I can feel what's happening in my body.
And that ritual. I love it. I love it.
So it isn't, to me, that illustrates, both of our stories illustrate a really important point, which is certainly our perception of the smell plays a role. But the aromatic compounds are delivered to our organism whether we are aware of the fact that they smell or not. This takes me back to my workplace hazardous materials information system training and my workplace toxins, where they told us, and even like at home, carbon, monoxide, that we have the detectors. You can't smell that. It has no scent, but it'll kill you because it still has an effect in the body, right? Yeah, And so similarly, so one of my blog posts is called Smell Schmell. Like, who cares if it smells or not? Of course, that's part of your sensory experience. But along with the smell is the delivery of the aromatic compound, the delivery of the plant medicine through the entry of the aromatic compounds through your respiratory system and into your bloodstream.
That's fantastic. This actually leads me to
perfume. Perfume doesn't work. Orange perfume is not going to have the same effect as orange essential oil, right?
No, very true.
So what oils are good for stress, Ellie?
I was going to say that from this example is that I really refer to doTERRA oils as like not your grandma's essential oils, because what we're used to and what I was used to and really what I was used to up to 2 years ago was a thing that smelled nice. And the idea of using lavender oil, we might just talk about lavender first, but the idea of using lavender oil for sleep, because, I go through phases of being stressed and not sleeping well, and then sleeping like a rock, and then coming back and kind of floating through those, and using lavender oil and having that be a scent anchor is what I've been referring to them as, for like, okay, I smell lavender oil, I should relax and I should go to sleep. And it didn't actually relax me much. And then using the doTERRA essential oil and putting it on either my feet or my hands or the back of my neck, and using it as a relaxation response for the body, and having a huge response or reaction or reaction to the oil, where it did aid my sleep. It did aid in relaxing me before I was going to bed, because of the quality of doTERRA essential oils, the high quality of doTERRA essential oils, and those therapeutic constituents in it. They don't just smell good, even though they also smell good. So we'll talk about lavender first, I think, and then Shuli, I want to pass it over to you to talk about balance a little bit more, if you feel good about that. But lavender oil is definitely a favorite of mine, and it's one of those that I'll speak to lavender because I know that Shuli is not a huge fan of it, but I am.
Well, you know what is just really like, how much of a slow learner am I?
Yeah.
Hearing, like, I've never liked lavender, and I've never used it, and it's, well, I shouldn't say I've never used it. I've used it lots, but it never had the effect. But I've never tried doTERRA lavender. So, right, I use vetiver instead. So, but it just occurs to me that now I'm going to, tonight, with the vetiver, I'm going to try the doTERRA lavender and see what happens.
See the difference? See if there is a difference, So the lavender that we have is a French lavender in our bottle. And the description, because lavender is a favorite oil of mine, the description that I have for it is like a pure lavender. And I say that from a very genuine place in my heart of smelling a lot of lavandin, which is a very similar to lavender, and spike lavender, which is often referred to as well. And when I smell this, it's like it's pure, 100% like I'm in a lavender field smell, and it's amazing. And the doTERRA lavender, or lavender in general, is a combative and a nervine. So this is a great oil, so that whenever you do flip your lid and you have that response, for me especially, this is an oil that I go to all the time because I love the smell of it. And it really just brings me back online. As a terrible traveler and somebody who gets stressed out when I travel, it's definitely my go-to oil, even just for like long car travel, plane travel, which is like a whole other layer of stress for me. The excitement of going somewhere, the stress of getting on a plane. Do we have everything? Passport, dump everything out. Security check, dump everything out. Second security check sometimes. And so lavender is definitely one of those ones that I go to often for bringing myself back online and bringing me into that place of like centered. So for me, lavender is a very grounding oil, even though it's a higher note, that floral note kind of, brings our awareness up a little bit. It's a really grounding still oil for me. Great for sleep, as I've mentioned. Great for even adding it to your bath if you are taking those nice warm baths before going to bed or whenever, to help with stress. It's an amazing oil for that. Do you want to talk about our beloved balance oil, Shuli?
Yes, I was just making some arrangements to address my technical issues.
Oh.
So what I love, I have worn frankincense since my daughter was like 2. So what's that, 22 years. Because, yes, and I just am drawn to the woody, spicy aroma. So you'll see me joining from the other.
Yes, here you are.
So I'm going to
round 2
and leave. Here I am.
There we go.
Except for I can't hear. There we go. So it's a warm, woody oil. It has spruce, hoe wood, frankincense, my fave, blue tansy, and blue chamomile. So spruce is known as a grounding blend that's come to us through the first Canadians, and was used to bring harmony to the mind and body. Frankincense, I just love it because it makes me feel really good. I like the spicy, woody smell. And as a kapha, pitta kapha, Ayurvedic type, but with a bad vata derangement, which is my, the windy, stressy side, having these oils, which are known to resonate with the earth and with trees, really counteract, like it meets the kapha in me and helps it out so that I can calm down. And I just really, really like it.
Yeah, this is a beautiful oil. Because of that blue tansy and blue chamomile oil, it actually has a blue tint to it.
It does, yeah.
Which is kind of cool whenever you put that either in your hands or on your diffuser. Yeah. And for me, this oil is so special because it reminds me of before living in Ontario, before living in Quebec, I lived in BC, and it just really reminds me of being in the forest, like on a day where it had just rained, and it's woodsy, it's a little like mossy, and it's just absolutely amazing. And it's one of those oils, again, that just brings me right back home. It's one that I use often, especially for being stressed out. And my ritual for balance oil is to put it on the bottoms of my feet in the morning. So I just take a drop in my hand, literally rub them on the bottom of my feet. If I'm wearing socks that day, putting my socks on. So I kind of started my day with the idea of balance and the ritual of balance.
I just have it always with me.
Yeah.
I don't even have the roll on. I just bring the little 5 milliliter bottle and carry it with me everywhere.
Love it.
But I also like, where is it here? My current favorite is Console, which is one of the emotional, one of the blends that comes with the emotional aromatherapy kit. Mm-hmm. Well, I can't find my bottle, but who cares? So it has sweet floral and tree together. And the sweet floral is kind of like the love side. So you've got the love and the trees. So It's got frankincense again, which I love, patchouli, ylang, which I hate, but in this blend is delicious. Labdanum, amyris, sandalwood, of course, again, rose, and osmanthus. So I love the combination of like the lovey-dovey plus, but I'm not like way up here. I'm lovey-dovey with my feet on the ground. Oops, shake my desk. Lovey-dovey, but with my feet on the ground.
Amazing. Yeah, Console is an amazing oil, especially for stress. I was thinking about this too. I kind of skipped over the part of like, what are our stress symptoms? And, and what happens to us? And I think we have some very universal things happen to us. And definitely one of them is lack of sleep, running over things in our mind, feeling very pulled in different directions. Our digestive issues, if we have issues, they're heightened. If we don't have issues, we now have issues.
Right. Muscle tension.
Yeah, like get tense. In places, our shoulders get up around our ears.
And just diffuse body pain from the fact that your fascia is tight, so your muscles are tight.
So true. Our lack of concentration, that feeling kind of like bizarro, and not being able to focus on something. Headaches. Backaches, front aches.
Dysregulated hormonal cycles, especially in women, because as you've heard me say, Ellie, if you're a bunny and the bear's coming after you, you're not concerned about survival of the species. In other words, you're not concerned about a little nookie. You're concerned about your own personal survival right now. So no need to reproduce, right? And that's the reproductive system just is like right offline after chronic stress, because who needs it, right?
True.
Yeah.
Very true. So on the topic of digestive stuff, I want to talk about, Shuli already talked about Digest Zen or Zen Gest in Canada. And Digest Zen is a blend of a couple of different oils. It has some peppermint in there. It has ginger. It has some fennel. It has anise. It has caraway. so it has those like known to us like things when our stomach is sick. What do we need a little bit more of? We need ginger in our life. We need those sorts of things. It has a strong licorice and pepperminty kind of aroma to it. It's an amazing oil for anything. Like I always joke that like stress food to me is pizza. And I love pizza, but pizza does not love me nearly as much as I love it. And so using a little bit on the chest here or just on the upper belly for heartburn, and very similar to Shuli, lying down in bed and having that acid reflux heartburn after eating a pizza, and walking down the stairs and getting a drop of digestin and putting it on my belly and turning around from the island, going straight back up towards the stairs. And as I put my first foot on the stairs, I thought, maybe I just dreamt it. I was like, maybe I just dreamt that I had heartburn. Strange. Like, I don't know. That's not what was keeping me up at night. It was. And then walked back upstairs and I thought, when I lie back down, probably it will come back because it's worse when that happens. And lying back down and falling asleep and waking up the next morning being like, there's something to this. There's definitely something to this. So digestin is an amazing oil. I also want to say that I have yet to experience sometimes whenever we're stressed out and we have a little too much wine one night and the next morning we wake up not feeling as hot as we did any other day of our life. I've heard some digestin on the brow here is a really great solution for some hangover. Again, I haven't experienced it. If you do experience, or if anybody on the call has experienced it, please let me know. Give me a yay or nay. But it's a great oil for that. And then peppermint oil, and peppermint is an anti-inflammatory oil. So anything that we think of that is inflamed, like when we get headaches or migraines or this muscle tension, this is amazing. Even I think of
Charlie horses.
Say that again.
Charlie horses.
Oh, Charlie horses. I was thinking even anybody who has any autoimmune things going on, that when their stress is heightened and they get inflamed in their body, even through rheumatoid arthritis or anything like that, peppermint oil is an amazing oil for the inflammation. Again, peppermint is not a hot oil, considered a hot oil. Oh, it smells amazing. But I highly recommend, not touching your eyes because of mucous membranes after you use your peppermint, but also if you're using it for your headaches, up here around the crown of your head, not down below or by the eyes, and at the back of the neck is a really great place. And I find also,
it has that like, do you remember Pepe Le Pew from Bugs Bunny?
Yes.
Or Pigpen, and how they make the zizzy lines for the stink? Well, peppermint literally has those zizzy lines, and if you put it too close, the zizzy lines kind of creep into your eyes.
It's true. It totally does. I love that analogy. So peppermint is definitely a go-to oil for any of those things. Do you want to talk about, will you talk about Beloved Frank?
Sure. I want to say, though, first about peppermint, that coming back to the regulation or dysregulation of our menstrual cycle, that for hot flashes, or night sweats, I'm having issues, and I don't even know what the cause is yet. I have to still investigate. But and I actually don't have a peppermint roll-on. So what I've been using is my past tense, which has peppermint in it. So that in the night when I wake up too hot, I'm overheated and I can't cool down, I put the cooling oil on the back of my neck, and I'm able to go back to sleep without, and so I only wake once in the night instead of tossing and turning for hours because I'm too hot, which is, I'm turning 53 this year. Maybe it's menopause or maybe it's something else, but I'm just grateful to have the relief of that, to be able to use use that to support myself, because I was on Depo-Provera years ago and had terrible night sweats from that. And it was a nightmare. It was a health nightmare to not sleep.
Yeah, it is.
And it's a health nightmare to change your pajamas 4 times in the sheets once in the night because you're just so freaking sweaty. Anyways, all that is to say, do we love peppermint?
Love.
We love peppermint, yes. So,
And a little secret recipe for anybody who does have night sweats or is experiencing hot flashes is lavender and peppermint together, because lavender is that calming to the system. And
yeah.
even in a spray bottle, I've heard a couple of people use it in their spray bottle. I use lavender and peppermint in the summertime whenever I've been out in the sun just a little tiny bit too long. And it's really cooling and very soothing to the skin. So it's peppermint is like coming out on top. Talk to me about frankincense.
So my love affair with frankincense began with the scent, because I just love the spicy smell. But I heard someone explain the spiritual nature of frankincense like this. For millennia, this particular resin has been used to speak to the spiritual world, to carry from our lips to God's ears, right? There's something about the power of people having been attempting to communicate with things greater than ourselves, with phenomena or beings or energy greater than our personal energy, using this particular pathway. And we could think of this millennia, millions of people over thousands of years traveling this path back and forth to the spiritual world. And the resonance that creates, like if you think how many times a person walks over a path, first it was grass, but then you see the grass is bent, and then, hundreds of years later, it's a well-worn path. It's like that, frankincense. And so I really love imagining the ancestors, my direct ancestors, but also ancestors in the human sense, and aligning my prayers, let's say, along the well-worn pathway. To me, that captures the spiritual nature of frankincense. To me, that's what makes frankincense a spiritual oil. It's what makes it an oil that I want to use when I'm doing meditation or practice. Or even if I'm feeling alienated and alone, which is like yoga therapy teaches that all illness, all dis-ease is caused by separation, and that all wellness comes from union. And I know as a trauma survivor, when I think the world is a scary place and there's only little bitty me, wow, I'm going to get tears. To have help connecting with my sense of there is something greater than me, and I'm held, really can help a lot. Because from a certain point of view, that's the definition of trauma, is being left alone to handle something that is by definition overwhelming, right? And so to be able to offer myself that sense of like the heart-opening, resonant connection, or even just the thought, even if I'm not feeling the feels, to offer myself the thought with the frankincense that I'm not alone, really helps a lot. So that's the way frankincense works for me as a stress reduction tool. I've worn it for 15 years, and I've experienced the cellular benefits of frankincense as a cellular repair. I do want to say, because I don't want to be like, DNA is the number one determinant of what your skin looks like as you age, right? So I do have good DNA. I'm lucky like that. I also practice yoga and eat well, which are both things that really help for youthfulness. And I stay out of the sun. I have not exposed my skin to the sun. That said, though, I think that frankincense plays an important role in what my skin looks like, because I've used it for so long. So it's good for cellular repair. It's good for just the skin health. It's good for if you have scars or injuries or things that need to heal. And I think that's really Yeah, that's all that I had on my mind for frankincense.
Your love affair with
Got a
frankincense.
little carried away.
I love it. I
Yeah.
just want to add to this is that each oil has a emotional component to it, and frankincense. After hearing you talk about the spiritual alignment of that, and just like that connection that happens, is that frankincense is the oil of truth. And so it's such a beautiful oil to use when that misalignment is happening,
Yes.
because it's bringing back like what is true, because
Yeah.
we have all of these stories that we tell ourselves of like,
Right.
this is happening. And for anybody who listens to MC Yogi, he has this amazing song, and in the lyrics of the song is only love is real. And really that's what frankincense for me is. I've made an amazing blend for this month and working towards some pretty big goals, and it is frankincense, lavender, and wild orange. And because of these things, lavender is the oil of communication, and wild orange is the oil of abundance. So this is just like, oh gosh, I'm doing it. Like everyone's gonna witness this. Is like me putting oils on so many times. I love it.
Yeah.
So that is frankincense. And I also want to add for frankincense, it's been known to balance mood. So if we're in that like ping pong effect of stress, like we're low, we're high, we're low, we're high, and we're just like, we can't get a hold on things, frankincense is one of those really beautiful oils to start to use on a therapeutic level. And as simple as, I know Cress has this ritual of putting a drop on the roof of her mouth. Frankincense, although is a tree resin, and myrrh. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, they're the two exceptions for like, if you wouldn't, like I wouldn't normally eat a frankincense tree personally, like cut it up as a steak on my plate. But frankincense resin and myrrh resin are both very powerful oils for mood. Myrrh is really great for oral health. And I know that Cress has this ritual of just placing a drop on the roof of her mouth, which is a really great thing.
So I have BPV, benign paroxysmal positional vertigo, which means anyways, nothing you can do about it. But I learned when I had my last attack in December that frankincense you can take internally to help with vertigo. You can also put it, so I was using it behind my ears, on the bone behind my ears, and taking it internally, and it made a difference.
I love that.
It helped, yeah.
The last kind of two oils that I want to talk about tonight so far are one of the second oil that really had a huge impact. So actually we're going to talk about the two oils, Breathe, which is also called Easy Air in Canada, and Shuli has the American version of it, and On Guard. And these two oils came to me, like I said, I was friggin' stressed, truthfully. Like I think about that time, it was my very first teacher training. There was curriculum, there was all the things. And when we hit the go button for that very first class, for those very first hours, my immune system was like, I'm done. I'm beyond done. And so in particular, the On Guard blend is the blend of wild orange, cinnamon, clove, eucalyptus, and rosemary, and it's your protective blend. So if you are starting to come down, if you need to balance your immune system, any of those things, On Guard is an amazing oil. I prefer to take it in a capsule or in these little beadlets, which are an amazing way to be able to take them internally on the go. They're just like these tiny little beadlets. Take one now. And this is also a great oil for things like, for me, for uplifting the air, because it has sort of like a bit of a, truthfully, a holiday, a Christmassy holiday, for those of you that celebrate that, scent to it. And it really reminds me of that time of the year. And for me, that is like, it's a joyful time. And so even being able to take out the toxins in the air as an airborne oil with the diffuser, it's a great way to support the immune system when you know that you're run down, when you know that you've been stressed. And then Easy Air or Breathe is the respiratory oil, and it has a strong, again, peppermint. It has cardamom in it. It has some laurel leaf and something called Ravinsara, and it's an amazing oil. For me, even not just for congestion or heaviness in the chest or even going out for a walk, but a reminder to breathe, like a basic reminder to breathe. And because it opens up the airways, very similar to how you would use your Vicks or anything like that, it gives you that, it encourages that really deep breath. Anything that you want to add on those two oils?
Well, I just always loved Vicks, but I love Breathe or Easy Air even better because it reminds me of the old school thing when I was a little kid where, you rubbed Vicks on your chest when you had a cold. It's just so soothing and comforting, right? But except Vicks is chemicals. I mean, it has some camphor in it and whatever, which it has the natural component, but then it's carried in a chemical, right? And I like this so much. It's like when I eat food that's locally produced and hormone and antibiotic free and all that stuff. There's the actual benefit to my body, but then there's the benefit to my mind because I enjoy knowing that I'm doing something good for myself. And that's to me, that makes, I've got the old fashioned throwback to the comfort of my younger years. Kids days, but it's healthier, right?
Totally. I love it. Any other oils that you want to talk about tonight, in particular for stress?
Well, I'm thinking, I'm not sure what we had scheduled to end. I'm kind of interested in hearing if folks have questions.
Yeah, let's open up the floor if anybody does have particular questions about any oils. And anyone who's off camera, if you want to show your face on camera, you're more than welcome to.
And you can speak without being on camera if you want to. You can just unmute yourself and speak.
Any particular questions? Any experiences for anybody who has used these oils before that they want to share?
Or questions if you have a stress issue and you want to know what to do for it. So we've just solved everybody's stress problems.
I do have a quick question.
Oh, okay, good.
About travel. So Ellie, you were mentioning about traveling. So the bottles that the oils come in, they're 5 ml, are they?
They're 5 and 15.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are able to travel with them, like if you're flying, okay. So you won't be stopped and have to dump all your oils at the security line.
Oh my gosh, no. The nice thing, so yeah, I travel with my oils, and they're really like, I don't know what I did before. I really don't know what I did before. I had sweaty palms and a bad attitude is actually what I think I had. And the other nice thing is that you can get these little sample dram bottles if you don't want to carry your whole bottle with you. And I think this is this is Citrus Bliss, so it's another citrusy oil. And you can just put a couple of drops in here. The thing that I find with this is that because of the stopper, if I'm using them for anything, like I want a whole, okay, so let's talk about the pros and cons of this. For somebody like Shuli wanting to use cinnamon in her coffee, this is an amazing bottle modality to add a couple of drops here because it's such a small distribution of oil. So it's about a quarter to a half of a drop. And then so you can travel with these, and then the downfall is, of course, because it's only about a quarter to a half a drop, sometimes it's a little bit challenging. You put it upside down and kind of give it a couple of taps. Yeah, I do. Most of my bottles are the 15 milliliter bottles, and I do travel with these. I travel with them straight up. They just go in my that bag. Exactly. And usually they create quite a conversation at the security line if somebody's like, "Oh, what are they? Can I smell them?"
That's awesome.
Which kind of breaks the ice because, as you're going through security, it's always a stressful time. Like, do I have everything? My passport.
Sprinkle frankincense on them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Frankincense myself, lavender, So good. Yeah. Traveling it's a great modality for traveling.
Awesome. Thanks, Ellie.
You're welcome. Any other questions that we have? Okay. Okay, so this is what I want to talk about now. Basically, most of the oils that we talked about tonight are in something called the Home Essentials Kit, and I'm actually just going to do a really quick screen share with everybody if I can figure this out. Screen share, preview. There we go. See if this works. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Oh, nice job.
Thank you. It's pretty. I feel so technologically inclined right now. Thank you, everybody. But basically what we talked about is the Home Essentials Kit. Most of the oils in the Home Essentials Kit, the balance oil is not in Home Essentials, but we've talked about frankincense, lavender, we talked about peppermint, we talked about the Easy Air, the Zengest, the On Guard. The Deep Blue is an amazing, it's the muscle rub, also great for headaches. I love the scent of it. It's kind of like a little A535E.
Oh, but even like it's so much yummier.
Yes, it is.
I have muscle pain. I have pain all the time, and I live on Deep Blue.
Seriously.
I love it. It smells delicious. It makes me happy to smell it.
It's true. You know what? The A535 has that. It's that wintergreen, but everything else is so much better. And so the Home Essential, if you want these oils in your life, like I said, I don't know what I did before I had these particular oils, and especially because they're doing what it is that I want them to do. And so if you also want these oils in your life, there's a couple of different ways that you can get them. doTERRA kind of works like Costco for oils. We endearingly call it this, which I love Costco. And I love, the membership and being able to save money. And so doTERRA works on a membership basis. And so for $42 Canadian, and for if we have any US-ites on here, any Americans on here, then we have $35 in the US is the membership fee. And that gets you wholesale membership pricing. And what that is 25% off all of the products, the cost of the product, so the retail product cost. And then the second way, kind of like entry into getting a membership with doTERRA and getting a kit or getting a basis, what we've talked about is these top 10 oils pretty much for tonight, which are in the Home Essentials Kit. And all of the enrollment kits with doTERRA include your membership. So when it says here, save $87.25 for the Home Essentials Kit, it's actually $87.25 plus the $42 membership fee, because they waive the membership, or they gift you the membership in that way. And the Home Essentials Kit is full bottles of oil, so full 15 milliliter bottles of oil. There's about 250 drops in these bottles, so it lasts a long time, especially if you're using about 1 to 3 drops, depending on the usage per time. So there's a great value in this kit. The only kind of exception is the Deep Blue comes in a 5 milliliter bottle, and that's because Deep Blue only comes in a 5 milliliter bottle, unless you're able to, they do have it in these pre-diluted roll-ons, which are awesome. And then the same oils are in the Essential Collection Kit with the Smart and Sassy, and the Smart and Sassy oil is a metabolic blend. So I think about it, when we're stressed, again, pizza is a comfort food, casseroles. My wife is Korean, and we have a lot of Korean food for comfort food. And oftentimes, if that gives you indigestion or even just cravings, the Smart and Sassy oil is the metabolic blend that you're not reaching for the bag of chips, which is also maybe an MO of mine.
I'm not confessing to anything.
Yeah, I won't say anything at all, but Doritos Zesty are amazing. So the Smart and Sassy is one of the metabolic blends, it's the metabolic blend, which is a blend of grapefruit and spearmint instead of peppermint. So I like to use it in my water. I like to use it directly on my body as a moisturizer, actually, because I love the smell of it. But the Essential Collection Kit is the top 10 oils again, but all of them are in the 5 milliliter bottle, and there's about 80 drops in here if I haven't mentioned that before. So these two kits as oils that we've talked about are really awesome ways to get started. On an emotional level, and for Shuli, she got started with the Essential Aromatics Kit, which are the emotional oils. They do come in a pre-diluted package as well. These are 10 milliliter touch kits, so it's about a 50% dilution from the bottle. And that one also comes with the diffuser. So the home essentials and the essential aromatics comes with your diffuser, and the essential collection does not.
So I just want to clarify, Ellie, the essential aromatics is the full, they're the 5 milliliter bottles, not the touch.
They're the 5 milliliter bottles, not the touch. You're right.
Yes. You can get the touch kit, but this kit we're looking at is not it. It's the actual bottles.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
And then I kind of have been joking lately, like if you're wild and crazy and you're like, I want all of the oils, because let's be real, I want all of the oils, but I'm building my collection as I go along.
Yes.
But we do have an every oil kit, which is literally every oil, which is a great way to get started if that's something that you want, all the things at all the same time. And so these are great. We're going to send this flyer to you after, so that you can take a look at it. And the way that it works with doTERRA is that if you want to get a membership, you can let Shuli or I know, and we will set that up for you. And we provide continued support with membership. So we have a Facebook group called Luminous Living Community that you can search in Facebook, and we will add you to that group. We provide one-on-one support after membership, so how to use your oil specifically. We have a couple of different things in a couple of different places. We have the same thing in a couple of different places, which is called the Oil Gathering, which there's one in Perth. There's one starting this next month in May in Canada, and then we have one here in Elmer. And they're just a monthly gathering that's like, bring your oils, ask questions, smell stuff, we look at a couple of resource books and just like try to figure out like, what else can we use things like On Guard, which is kind of a ringer. You can use it for so many things, but like what else can we use digestin for, which is where I got that hot tip about the morning after usage. So those are the kits to start with. Again, you can go with individual oils if you're like, you know what, right now all I want is an On Guard, or I just want a Breathe or whatever. Then you can pay the $42 enrollment and get the oils at that discounted price if that's something that interests you. Does anybody have any questions about membership or oils specifically now that we've had a little bit of time to think about it?
I just wanted to mention, but while people are opening their mics, that on the last Thursday of every month in Perth at Lotus Wings, I give free classes on stress and essential oils, and we apply the essential oils to the specific aspects of stress that you might be experiencing. So I've done one on pain, I've done one on sleep, I'm doing one this Thursday night on worry. So the last Thursday of every month. Bye, Maitri!
Yay! Bye! Thanks so much.
So any questions?
Hi, it's Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, I just wanted to say I didn't not go on video. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I was going to say I didn't not go on video because I didn't want to be seen. For some reason, my phone thinks I'm driving.
Oh, yes. Not enough time.
So there we go. But thank you. That was really good. I got a few hot tips tonight on oils that I have in my cupboard that I have not been taking full advantage of. So
excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. And thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, it was great. Thank you.
Excellent. Any questions from anyone else? Was that a hand up at all? No, we're good? Okay. Well, then I think that I would just like to thank everybody that came to the call or is listening to the call afterwards and is still on here with us, for hanging out with us for the last little while and opening your minds to essential oils and what they can do. And if you do have any questions, that of course Shuli or I are here for you if you have those. Just send us an email or contact. You'll have my contact information shortly afterwards. Shuli, anything that you want to add?
I'm so touched that people I knew showed up.
Yeah.
It's really a delight. I've been asked and asked and asked to do a webinar, and I'm so grateful that you have given me this opportunity. Thank you.
I can't wait to do many more. I think this is a great format, and you're going to look for more emails or more subjects that we can talk about. So awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us tonight.